Hi, so a quick update. On Monday I helped lead the workshop part of a mapathon up in Newcastle, which is just 15 minutes on the train from me. Thank you to Vicky who organised it. So invited about 15 people that she knew that were kind of working in hospitals or kind of in the medical profession, some from a university in either Newcastle or Indianapolis in the States. And thank you to Ernest who provided their cafe space for us to work in, which was a great space. I've got this picture of me kind of ready to present my slides. So it was fairly standard mapathon. I went through and just beforehand adapted my slides and described OpenStreetMap, what it means, with it being free and updatable. Then we had a little bit of a look at OpenStreetMap. I like to encourage people to find their home on OpenStreetMap.org or to find where we are, get people familiar with the detail that already exists in OpenStreetMap. And then I talked briefly on using my slides, which I want to share these slides more, so I'm going to put them on my blog, livingwithdragons.com. I kind of talked about how maps are important when humanitarian aid is being worked on. And this thing I'd go into a lot more detail about how it can be used in various ways and improves just having a list of villages written on a sheet. And I had looked up the task we were going to be working on before, so that was on the HOT Tasking Manager number 4762 for the Peace Corps doing, they're planning to do a survey in Mozambique of who is using mosquito repellent bed nets. So it was quite a good event actually, because Vicky looked up some background knowledge. She was able to talk on the importance of the actual work that is going to be supported by these maps that we're making. Unfortunately she used Google Maps to illustrate where Mozambique is, but that was a good example of how maps actually limit us and how we don't have permission to use Google Maps for things beyond using it online. So she talked a bit about that and the mosquitoes being the world's deadliest animal, which is quite shocking. And she talked about the problems. Did my little intro continuing on how even though we're not on the ground and we're not collecting that medical knowledge or knowledge of people, the base map really helps, as illustrated in the classic map of John Snow and the cholera epidemic in London. And then we got mapping, so I'd like to dive in. I'd spent some time on my lunch break with some communication on what Vicky was interested in, and I found a suitable project for beginners, which it was this bednet one, and it was quite amazing. I remember just when we started, to take a screenshot of how much mapping we had done, and I think we continued about 10% of what's quite a large project, and the progress continues to be updated. So if I look now, it's now 51% mapped, so people can still work on that. I'll obviously put links in the description below. And then once we have got mapping, I shared this last slide, which I think is really important. I always make a strong point that while we're helping people abroad in Mozambique, what we're doing, what we're learning with OpenStreetMap is still beneficial at home in the UK. And so I think people at this mapathon really grasp that, yes, it's helpful if OpenStreetMap is up to date in Newcastle. So current focus is is finishing off the post office's bell, which I've talked about in the past. There'll be a new quarterly project on footpaths that I'm going to gather together the information and the tools and talk to you about that. But yeah, that's a quick grasp of the overview of what I did without giving you my full 20-minute talk again. I'll share these slides as I think they're helpful for other people doing talks. What I maybe should have done is explained when I was, and done a film when I was picking a project for us to work on, but perhaps that's for another video.